Okay, let's see if I am heard on all platforms. Welcome, everybody. As part of the test sound check, I'm going to unofficially welcome all of you with open, loving arms, old and new, to this huge and, to use an understatement, highly opportune 5-day period that really it's already on, like Donkey Kong. Anyone been feeling hairy energies these past or so? Well, that's this. That's what they're trying to do. They're, you know, firing up their technologies or whatever they have left. They're doing their usual rituals. It ain't working. It ain't enough. It's a minor annoyance, I guess you could say. You accidentally spill a bit of your coffee on your trousers. That's as bad as it got. Or in my case, cacao, I should say. So this is the 144K mass meditation, more like intervention, of June 20th, 2025, the solstice. And let's just prepare ourselves, get yourself relaxed. Make sure you've been to the bathroom and got yourself water or your favorite beverage, and you're pretty much ready to go. And yeah, there is quite a portal and 5-day transition aspect with such events, celestial events, let alone mass meditations being almost back to back. It's only 4 whole days that separate the two. Pretty close. So this is going to be interesting. And we're going to go deeper this time. Really, really deep, really detach. And partly because of the astrology, which includes, well, a lot of it is centered around Jupiter entering Cancer on the 9th, and now the Sun conjunct Jupiter in Cancer to light everything up on emotions. Okay. Cancer being a very emotion attuned or orientated sort of sign. And, things like that happen for a reason. They don't just happen. There's no such thing as just happening. And we'll get started in quite literally a minute. As there's always, last few people that come online that, have running a little late because of resistance. So begin those slow, deep breaths through your nose, and apparently holding it on the out breath for a couple of seconds helps the cell absorb more oxygen, ironically perhaps. As we tune in, and the stillness and silence alone makes it much harder for them, easier for us. And keep in mind the opportunity, huge, huge opportunity. very, very real opportunity to clear the way for that massive light. I know Cobra gave it a particular technical term, shockwave front. I suspect like the shockwave of an explosion. If you've ever seen those fancy special effects explosions of a bomb in a movie, and there's this outward emanating sphere of the outer boundary, I suppose you would say, of the blast. I guess a more divine version of that, a divine version of that's going to reach the surface, really hit the surface on the new moon, the 26th, depending on where you are in the world. And when that big mother hits the surface, you don't want every dark Tom, Dick, and Harry biting you, because they're all going to get massively kicked up before getting dissolved. And as many of you know, they always attack the brightest thing around, which is usually the nearest starseed in the local neighborhood. So we're going to remove most of that horrible roughness whenever, ironically, a breakthrough happens. And we're going to make sure that the breakthrough is quite the mother lode in all the most wondrous, freeing, celebratory way for the 26th. Let's do the prepping, the clearing. And I'm sure most of you will agree the energies can do with improvement right now anyway. You know, with regards to obviously geopolitical events over in the Middle East. Huge, huge opportunity to turn things around through the power of our consciousness when used and projected the right way. All right. Okay, good. Now let me get myself comfortable as we continue to harmonize and synchronize our energies by breathing in deeply and slowly. Through the nose. Nice and slow. For just a couple of minutes, and really let go and detach, ironically, by kind of, from a rational mind perspective, losing yourself in the now. And go deeper in the now with every breath. And so the solstice, where the veil is thinner. So the solstice maximum is exactly 1 hour from now, plus or minus a few minutes. Where the veil is the thinnest, and that's that's the moment we're all really preparing for. As we sit in silence, harmonizing, unifying. and literally change a world, massively change the timeline into a far more peaceful one, calm and joyous, beginning with our own emotions. See yourself in a gigantic, dark silver, translucent crystal ball. If you're new, we're going up beyond the multiverse to insane levels of power and authority to squeeze in 100 mass meditations into one. Look all around and see the golden light bodies or astral bodies of all your fellow beloved 144K comrades, evenly spaced along the equator on the inside of this gigantic crystal ball. Go ahead, especially for those of you who have a special connection and relationship with Gaia. Let's call her in now. Authentic Gaia, authentic Gaia. We call upon the one true authentic goddess Gaia. Connect with us now. Authentic Gaia. Now see her in the middle with her beautiful white polar ice caps, white clouds and blue oceans. See her in the middle. Authentic Gaia, can we please have your permission to take you up with us to beyond the multiverse and multiverses to the Hod? She feels beautiful. All right, now, for those of you who consciously work with guides or have your own guides, go ahead and call them in now and see them next to you. As now we start to move up through the layers of the universe, racing up the layers of this universe at incredible speeds towards that last thick outer boundary of this universe. As you see, the beautiful, soft, calming, therapeutic flickering of light through the translucent walls of the crystal ball as we're racing up every layer of this universe. Continue to observe and look all around you. Remember, when you project your consciousness from the physical to the non-physical and visualize something, it manifests. It's there. It's constructed. That's just the way that works, which is part of the reason why physicality was created. That's unique to this universe. Engage in order to really see, feel, and be in it. Engage the right hemisphere of your brain, because this is what it's for. as you enjoy the ride, as we're about to break through the outer boundary of this universe. Take your last glance at your guides or all the 144K members surrounding Gaia, that dotted golden ring. And that last glance at Gaia, the flickering light on the walls of the crystal ball in the background. As the flickering of light stops and it just goes bright white as we're moving through that thick outer boundary of this universe. You can barely see Gaia in the middle. And we're through. You see a big ball of light that is the universe that we just left. Beneath us, you got to catch it because it turns into a small ball of light pretty quickly, as it always does. And we rise above a whole ocean of small balls of light that is the neighboring universes within this multiverse. And then the multiverse turns into a small ball of light and we rise above a whole other ocean of small balls of light that are all the other neighboring multiverses. And that just shrinks down into nothingness. You glance at your guides or Gaia all around while I quickly run through the standard protocols. Authenticate. We call upon the one true authentic light beings, the heart. Please make sure we go to you and no one else. True heart. And you look up through the roof of the crystal ball and you see a point of white light way up above, way in the distance, very small and distant. And it slowly gets bigger and bigger and brighter and brighter. And it now lights up the whole roof of the crystal ball and we finally reach it. We come to a sudden yet somehow gentle stop and we slowly and lovingly move through this thick platform of light. As we rise above, keeping one eye on Gaia. Closes at the bottom, opens up at the top. And we rise above and gently nestle on this platform of light. We form a straight line of solidarity, unity, togetherness. Behind and a little above Gaia. And if you're new, just being up at this primordial level of light clears your field, and you get pumped full of this high frequency light. As the crystal ball slowly peels downward, slowly, to allow your system to acclimate. Kind of like an energetic version of those decompression chambers where they go down to the deep sea and then back up again. All the way down. And now look up and see and connect with the authentic hod, as they're called in this model. And just pay and establish your own connection, feel their unique energy signature. These beings who very rarely intervene in any universe. Feel what they feel like for a minute. This is very important. And it helps you, it accelerates evolution just by being with them and helps you with your connections. But have a little bit of background attention on the center of your head initially. Authentic Hod, can you please send us a massive wave of your energy so we can truly feel you to an undeniable, unmistakable physical level? And just be in the now, dear one. In the now. That's your access point. Needless to say, this effectively has already begun the mass meditation. And Gaia certainly isn't complaining. Okay, good. You may feel it around, their subtle, unique energy signature around your thalamus or corpus callosum area. Might feel like your brainstem even. Authentic Heart, please send us a massive wave of your unique purifying energy into our hearts and anchor us in our hearts. And now have that little bit of background consciousness on the center of your chest or solar plexus for about a minute. And feel their energy there. Nice. Okay. Now put a bit of focus on your guides and or Gaia while I quickly bring in the rest of the teams. I call upon the infinite army of the authentic amalgam of the authentic Oberon lineage. They appear as a vast fleet of white discs beneath us. I call upon the elders of the amalgam. I call upon the team of beings that created this universe and the unique phenomena known as physicality, referred to as Oberon. They present themselves as one single man. You can see him as a golden being of light, off to the right perhaps. Repeat after me, everybody. I call upon all of my higher density aspects, higher self. See him or her next to Oberon, perhaps. You're the God. You choose. Connect. Be at one. Thanks to your limitless right hemisphere brain and that portal called the now. Yes, it's that simple. And real. Now let's finish up. Repeat after me. I call upon the entirety of my soul. See it as a small star, like a star up above the hod. Repeat after me. I call upon my authentic oversoul. See it as in a different color perhaps, as a slightly bigger ball of light behind your soul. And repeat after me. I call upon my authentic I am presence. Okay, now really connect there, really see it up there, just up above the hod. Authentic Legion of Light, here we are, the 144K. There is Gaia. Please take us to the space and place of omnipresence now. Everything goes bright white. See Gaia, see your guides. As we are transported to omnipresence, it's very bright. You have to squint your eyes. You can barely see Gaia in the middle. And the brightness disappears. Everything looks the same. We are henceforth working from omnipresence everywhere at once, all densities and planes, universes and multiverses and omniverse. Everywhere. Okay. Okay, interesting. What we're actually going to do with the team surrounding us, but sort of, at least half of them in front of us, we're going to show them our understanding of technology. Or better still, we're going to show them a predominant negative emotion or the predominant negative emotion that you've been feeling in recent days or weeks. Very briefly, can all be done in a split second. Let's place Gaia in a quarantine sphere, a white one is my recommendation. Oh, okay. All right. Okay, scratch that. Interesting. Okay. So really look at your I am at a minimum. Okay, good. Authentic Legion of Light. The June 20th or 21st solstice is upon us. We're in the midst of it. It's about to peak very soon. We want to and request, as we're all looking at our higher aspects and teams, by the way, we request that this whole planet be fully cleared as much as is allowed, safely allowed, and fully prepared for a shockwave front, a wave of light that will hit the surface of this planet. On the new moon, on the 26th of June. Only 5 days separate the two between now and that time. We request that the highest timeline, portal, and transit is constructed between now and our intervention and this new moon. So that's straight after the new moon. At the end of it, we exit onto a far higher timeline. And I mean almost completely different. Almost completely different. Preferably completely different. But I know that's more like a 5D energy. That will take a few extra months, at least. But let's set things up for that shockwave front, that wave of light, to truly reach the surface, unfiltered, undiluted, to have its fullest potential effect in terms of clearing and transmuting any form of dark energy throughout the surface, but also transforming the lives of those starseeds, of us starseeds, who are ready for that real change, and healing our emotions. From the space of omnipresence, authentic I am presence. Actually, repeat after me. Let's do this all together in unity. Authentic I am presence. Over soul, the HOD. managers of whole multiverses, and all light teams and organizations. From the space of omnipresence, scan and clear all forms of blocks, especially technologies, frustrating or delaying, or making painful our ascension and that of the whole planet and humanity. As it relates to the fullest potential of that wave of light that will reach the surface, on the coming new moon on the 26th of June. Okay, now if anything weird or negative of a technological nature happened to you in the past 24 hours, or even 48 hours, I guess, show that to the teams now, just a brief memory and resonance of it. This is important. Take your time. You don't have to see them perfectly well when you're doing this. Smart energy work and really solving problems, half the work is actually showing you guys what the issue is properly. So this is important. There's no rushing this at all. This will help us hit the jackpot. Okay. Okay. Now, if anyone's done, you can show them any negative experience. It's often referred to as an attack that you may have experienced, whether it's today or yesterday. Show that for a minute, briefly. Just a little bit, superficially. You don't have to, really go into it at all, let alone relive it. It can all be done in a second or two. All right, now feel them sort of really working through just through the memory, but now working through your field, really going in and sort of through you, for lack of a better term. It's hard to verbalize. Okay. And now, for most of us, this is an external source. It will have an external source or cause. It's through a predisposed weakness or wounding that you have, sure, or simply a fear. Or whatever it is that darkness pokes your goat with. I always get that expression wrong. Stay with the teams. And now look down at Gaia within the quarantine sphere. Do as thy will with regards to background colours of both the quarantine sphere and Gaia. and see, in whatever way works for you, holographically, from omnipresence, hold that a little bit in your consciousness, the teams, your I am, which is fundamentally omnipresent, now having fully, scanned and tracked whatever it is that you've shown them. They tracked it back to source. And now look down at Gaia. And the source will appear immediately. Don't worry about shapes or sizes or trying to analyze it. You definitely don't want to make that mistake. Whatever instantaneously appears before you even get a chance to think, that's the psychic accurate vision. Turn it white. Change background colors to a darker indigo or whatever if you need to contrast the light. You're in charge of that. And sort of, whilst being outside the quarantine sphere, allow your natural psychic vision to kind of, or the omnipresent nature of your consciousness to just sort of float around. Go deep, see what it shows you. Just hold the intent of staying outside the quarantine sphere. Turn it white if it's if it's a faint image, that's probably the accurate one. But either way, turn it white and make sure you stay holding it white. And when you're ready, watch it disappear. Now, some of you may still be holding or having this vision. Alert the Galactic Central Sun race and the Intergalactic Confederation to this. Just call them in. Authentic Galactic Central Sun race. Be here with us now. Authentic Intergalactic Confederation, Universal Council, connect and be with us now. Okay, and show them that. Scan the technology behind this. And again, super advanced technology often looks like something, organic. Float around. Okay, now for those of you not doing anything in particular, look up at your soul, oversoul, and I am. And literally say, show me what to do. Fulfill my purpose and talents unique to me. Show me how. let's go deeper. Zoom. Well, pick whatever angle you want. You can be right just outside the quarantine sphere, and Gaia's, pretty big and up front, but you don't have to, because I prefer to be able to see the teams and my IM over on the other side at the same time. Personally, speaking for myself, but you work based on your soul talents and soul system, based on what it's built for, to fulfill your unique purpose in this here and now moment. Huge opportunity to change a world through your pre-assigned unique soul purpose and talents and energy system that's uniquely built to carry out your unique soul talents and purpose. So that's what you follow. I'm just the basic or rough guide. Float around. Now, look up at a minimum, the HOD, your soul, oversoul, and I am. Look up and say, let's go deeper. Look at them squaring the eyes, metaphorically speaking. And say one more time, let's go deeper and clear this all the way. Back to its source, so that nothing is repopulated or replicated or replaced. From omnipresence throughout the omniverse and the nil zone and null space, proceed. And look at Gaia, whatever holographic single color represents omnipresent to you. What do you see? Use your quote unquote wildest imagination, because truth be told, when you set your intent the right way, you can't imagine anything that's outside of your subconscious mind. Anything you see there of a dark grey nature, because we're not going to try and define anything or try to analyze it. You, again, do not make that mistake. You have to go past your analytical mind or rational mind by forgetting about definitions and trying to analyze. That is going to shut it all down. Don't bother. It's not the way the psychic mind works, which you do have. I can guarantee it. So what came up? Again, generally speaking, faint instantaneous initial images are usually the right ones, the accurate ones. Transmute that there, and transmute that there. Again, even if this whatever is the size of a quantum particle, your psychic higher mind will show it as big as it needs to show it, as if it covers half of Gaia, so that your rational mind can see it, and then transmute the effort. Don't put up with it. Hold that image that is now white. You can do it. We're doing well here, folks. We're really going for getting the jugular, so to speak. That's really plaguing humanity and ascension. Beginning with Starseeds, because we're the brightest. Again, do whatever you want with the background colors. And then when it's white, disappear it. She appreciated that. Let me know if you felt Gaia at around about the same time in the Telegram chat after all of this. Okay, look up at your I am, oversoul soul. And the hod. And repeat after me. Go all the way. Finish this in a way that it never reappears in any way, shape, or form. All right, gotcha. Turn it white. Again, the psychic, because of the fundamental that the answer is right where the question is asked. They're sort of both are always together. You kind of can't separate the two in a way. It appears. It might be a faint image. This is usually the accurate one. It appears, turn it white. Sees it, turn it white. This is your ticket to freedom. This is real action. Hold. Change background colors if you need to see things easier or look or focus more inwardly. See what your psychic mind and the teams are already showing you. You're doing well. Hold. Okay, she seemed to appreciate that as well. All right, excellent. All right, drop back to source, transmute the source in that entire layer of darkness. All right, for those of you not doing anything in particular, call upon the HOD, your I am soul over soul, and call them to work through you and move light all around Gaia, through Gaia, clearing the planes, clearing the surface of all darkness, move waves of light doing that. Oh yeah. This is better, more like it. Keep it up for another 5 minutes or so. We're really clearing stuff for so much more light to come in. That transforms a whole world, our lives, especially when you're consistent with it. Like the understandably proud 144K. Again, if you're not doing anything, for those of you who aren't doing anything in particular, let's start clearing the surface, preparing things for one mother load of an awesome, profound, grand finale coming right up to a star system near you. All right. Gotcha. Hold. Keep on moving, white light. There's some interesting stuff going on in a place that I can't describe, which was just cleared actually just seconds ago, when then something else appeared in the deep in the core of Gaia. Again, This is what squeezing 100 mass meditations into one looks like. That must be remembered. Alrighty. Okay, that's interesting. Now, you keep on having your adventures and try not to be, you know, distracted or influenced or filtered by what I say. All right, that's very important because your sole purpose is beyond critical, not just divine. So it's important that you fulfill that. But what I eventually saw was, if you can imagine all of it, kind of reminded me of after that whatever in the core of Gaia got cleared, which I don't have time to try to work it out. You just transmute and ask questions later. After that was cleared, there was this explosion of, if you can imagine all the tech, it's as if all the tectonic plates just lifted off, split apart, and blew out, and there's all this blackness underneath, lifting, pushing out all these tectonic plates. That's what it looked like. That's the best way I can verbalize it. So this is quite a release of pent up, compressed blackness. That you do need something like the HOD and your I am at a minimum to be able to get a grip of such a thing. And you can sort of freeze it or freeze frame it, like in film or photos, just for your for your rational mind to catch its breath. Again, it's all good from outside the quarantine sphere. Take that occasional glance at the HOD, at least two of them on the far side, and your I am. And Oberon from time to time. Yeah, so something was going to explode, come out, and bite us all in the coming days, as far as I can make out. And it looks like we've preempted that. Congratulations, 144K to say the least. Okay. As I finished transmuting that, it all turned into a soft, light green, meaning all of Gaia and her aura. And sometimes you'll get images that you need to transmute and you're not sure where it's located, where it exists, even if it's in this universe or not, or whether it's in the null zone or nil space. Just transmute it. Whatever that faint image is, you turn it white, you hold, you watch it disappear. Again, play around with background colors, transmute it. Do not try to analyze. It does not work that way. Just allow the psychic flow to flow. For your freedom and the freedom of all that is really, not just humanity. Okay, for those of you not doing anything in particular, just move waves of light throughout Gaia's aura, just to remove some of those electromagnetic imprints of negative events. And sometimes you'll find the odd little dark grey or artificial sphere of some kind, whether it's an atom or a fake atom or a fake photon. Turn it white. Let's move white light all around. You know those images of Gaia, those NASA images of Gaia where it shows the solar winds and its effect of the solar winds on Gaia's outer field, and show those wavy toroidal field kind of thing around Gaia. Move white light, clearing anything dark or fake or white or false light out of there, all around Gaia. And now zoom out a little bit and pretend as if the HUD and your I am are doing it, is the best way I can get around the rational mind. And go for it for about a minute. Let's do it all together. About a minute is all we got. Watch the white light go around. So guys, much smaller now within the quarantine sphere. And just hold that. It's like a three-dimensional version of those radar things from the movies where you see that radar line or beam just going around those old screens, but a much more, I suppose, aesthetic three-dimensional version of that, just going around, round, round, clearing anything hidden or false or fake, whether it's a technological sphere or a false or synthetic photon, false light, sphere, atom or photon, or, doesn't matter. And now you're going to compress that. We'll all compress that swirling white round light going round and around like a wave of light going around. And now see a whole, how do I describe it? Feel your I am presence come through your field. Outwards from your part of the world and see, so it looks like a holographic white sphere just zoom emanating outward from your part of the world. Outward. And uniting with the same outward holographic emanating sphere or field, white, uniting with everyone else's. Uniting. I am. All of our I am. So now it's a white sphere, but you can see it holographically or choose to see it holographically. Again, my personal favorite background color is usually indigo, but whatever comes to you based on your soul talent and system built to serve your particular purpose. And now compress, again, have that relaxed visual of at least two of the hot in your I am in the background, and have that compressed, a slight compression. Of this sphere, compressing downwards towards the stratosphere, collecting and clearing anything fake, false, or of it, and or technological, whether it's a frequency grid from this physical plane or any other hidden realm of any kind. It could be a hidden universe, because size doesn't matter here. A hidden universe hidden within a subatomic particle or in the null zone, in between spaces where this could be emanating from, whatever it is that we're clearing. That's the level that you need to think at and close at, so we're all slowly compressing our united I am spheres, is the best way I can describe it. But with most of the light concentrated on the outer surface of the sphere, or the surface of the sphere, and compressing it. We're going to cause our own version of compression breakthrough here. Again, zoom out, see the teams in the background. It is advisable. Move it to the upper atmosphere altogether, collecting anything technological or fake or false. False light, false photon, false atom, but also between spaces as well. That's the beauty of the omnipresent nature of your I am. And move it into the atmosphere. Again, you can just visualize things in a way where as if Gaia isn't even there. All the visual focus is on this compressing, intensely compressed white I am light that's unified amongst all our I am that came through our field here on the surface. That's the trick, because you can't necessarily just do such a thing just like that. Unless you're an ascended master, then it's a different story, but you wouldn't be here to do it. sort of defeats the purpose. I digress. Move it into the mid atmosphere and see little dark spheres being just disappearing into this compressing wall of white light going downwards through the atmosphere, heading towards the surface, towards the lower atmosphere, collecting spheres, collecting, those frequency energy packets that hide even whole universes. Compress everything, even down to, those ones and zeros of the matrix, and in between the ones and zeros, where there's universes, by the way, a lot of them fake, synthetic, and dark. In between those huge hallways, passageways, in between those ones and zeros. Yes, collecting that as well. See that all just disappear. Compress. As we're heading closer and closer to the surface. And you can just focus on the shrinking holographic sphere of our I am light within the quarantine sphere. Again, you don't have to really see Gaia, because the intent on what altitude level this compressing outer surface sphere is at is enough. I'm hoping that makes sense. It's very hard to verbalize energetics in 3D verbals, but I'm doing my best. Compress, collecting anything false, anything fake, no matter how tiny. And compress, coming close to the surface, see all these grey spheres, false or fake photons. And compress, reaching the surface now, cleansing and clearing the matrix code, in between the matrix codes, everything. Hold that intent as you compress and see Gaia, as I have, and I didn't really put much thought into it. Go turn into that source goddess color of magenta as we move through the surface, clearing anything false, fake, artificial, synthetic. Again, they'll easily look organic, but synthetic and false. Spherical. And let's just keep it simple for now. Spherical. I won't go on any further about false photons and false atoms and quantum particles. Sometimes false, they're just disappeared and compressed through the crust and into the surface, well, into the inner earth, and reaching the core, clearing the core. There's all sorts of portals and, all sorts of portals, spheres, realms throughout Gaia's core. We're collecting them now. And so you shrink and kind of disappear into the very center of Gaia. All right. Well done, everybody. Take a deep breath, zoom out, have that brief little check-in, that visual check-in with the teams, at least 2 or 3 of them in the background. Take a couple of deep breaths through your nose. Check in with your I am over soul and soul up above on the far side. All right, cool. Almost done. All right, excellent, excellent. Now, thanks to what we did, the only real problem now is the profoundly dense and, that serve as huge, huge blocks is the collective emotional body. The dense, heavy emotion of the human collective and Gaia that's really blocking a lot of light, really slowing down ascension. But above all, making ascension hard when it doesn't need to be. Which is interfering with consciousness growth so that the collective understands what's really going on and it's all good. They can't understand that ultimately emotional blocks. Because let's face it, the truth is out, but so much of the human collective is really struggling emotionally, and that includes a lot of us, obviously. Well, let's deal with that. Let's get rid of that in like 5-10 minutes. Okay, refresh if you need to. See Gaia within the quarantine sphere in whatever background colors you want. Obviously with Gaia, that single monotone color, seeing her holographically within the quarantine sphere, and that color representing omnipresence. All right. Now, look up. You can look at all of the light teams if you want. You can easily do that. Otherwise, to make things easier, you can just always have the option of seeing 2 of the HOD on either side, over in the background, and your HOD and your IM just up above. Go in the foreground. That's still enough. All right. If you can see more, great. Repeat after me. Authentic I am presence. Soul and oversoul. Authentic HOD. Oberon. And all my higher aspects. From the space of omnipresence, Can you please completely clear and transmute the emotional body of the human collective and Gaia out of all relevant planes, densities, and frequencies? Alrighty. And look up at that, look down. No. Understandably, pretty much the whole quarantine sphere went black. So just see him start to turn it white. This is really going to boost the frequencies of the whole planet. And normally in the past, I would say, okay, let's light up the grids, but suffice to say, that's only going to go so far for so long with this god-awful mess present within the realms, the layers, the reality of, whatever frequency, density, or plane that emotional energy exists and is a visible, tangible thing. Gotta go. Hold the light and watch the whole quarantine sphere go from dark grey. There was this explosion of blackness, and just watch it starting to go white slowly. So starting to get from a very dark grey, almost black, the whole quarantine sphere, starting to turn grey, and then a lighter grey, and then a lighter grey. As the heart and your I am in particular get a grip on a ridiculous situation. It's all going to make sense at the end. As to why it's taken so long. It's all going to make sense. You'll understand as you hold visual on the increasingly lighter and lighter grayness, getting more and more lighter and lighter. Because there's a ton of entities within this toxic liquid-like emotional energy. Because at a certain level, any negative emotion is like heroin to these guys. Except that it doesn't inebriate them. On the contrary. And any form of negative emotion primarily the base root of it, if you will, is obviously fear. That's the deepest and blackest. Anger being the lightest. Behold, we are bringing in such incredible amounts of light you will not believe. Because we are the 144K. It's what we're freaking here for. And then, as always, just peacefully go back to your life, looking after yourself once this is over, which will be soon, by the way, I promise. All right, now see the quarantine sphere getting pretty pale now, and around the edges is this white towards the middle. It's a light grey still. Float around, see the teams in the background. Have fun. Meditate on this image. Alrighty. Now see the quarantine sphere white as all the, well, how do you describe such a thing? Think of a squabillion oil reserves deep underground. All right, how much is that in terms of volume, right? Ridiculous. Think of that times a squabillion. And that's what we've pulled out and almost completely transmuted. This is why you go further out beyond the whole multiverses and working with beings like the Hod, very primordial levels of light. This is why you do that, because of this sort of insane stuff. We're not free yet for a damn good reason. Now you're getting a taste of why. Okay, now you start to, within the quarantine sphere, you start to be able to make out Gaia all the way out to low Earth orbit. And that's still pretty black. And now the teams are starting to turn that white. And we'll be reaching the surface. And the emotional bodies of every poor human on the surface, and Gaia herself, we're going to be reaching that in a moment. What we did just now was release the valve, or the, whatever you call it, when they strike oil, and then the oil comes rumbling up and spurts out, like in the movies kind of thing. That's what we got rid of. Now we're going deep down. Deep down. With those vast oceans of reserves of this toxic negative. Again, on the emotional and astral plane, this, or certain levels of reality, let's just say, this is a tangible thing. Negative emotions, totally tangible thing that has its own forms and expressions, from quicksand to oil to, these are the nearest physical reference points that I have for you. All right, moving through. So now we see a rather dark grey, almost black gale within a quarantine sphere. Turn it white, or how can I put it? Sort of the same process again, where it slowly begins to turn into a more pale, into a grey, and then a more pale grey. And it gets lighter and lighter. Of course, it's a little darker in the middle because it's spherical that we're looking at. And of course, many of you will be getting more interesting, vivid micro images of a couple of details. Feel free to do so. Call upon your soul, literally, to express its unique talents and purpose through you. See it up above, in the background, in front of you, over Sol and I Am. Really tune into it as you see within the white quarantine sphere, the beautiful, innocent, but very dirty Gaia in the form of that, what is now a lighter grey sphere, turning lighter and lighter. And feel and kind of start to see, again, change background color of the quarantine sphere as you need to, if you need to better see the increasingly bright whiteness of the outer areas of this grey sphere that's getting lighter and lighter all around us, including the center. And just get a sense of the light getting intensely bright and very transmutational in nature, transmuting into the opposite, which for the most part is love, throughout these vast oceans of negative human collective emotions. Although, truth be told, it does include the animal kingdom as well, because this is emotional energy in its tangible form, I guess, at that level of reality. It's not necessarily just the emotional plane. It exists in other forms, typically a liquid form or of just a frequency form in other levels of existence, not necessarily non-physical planes. We're not rushing this because this is, as you can imagine, how much negative emotion has been produced, manufactured, engineered in the past, 300,000 years. Never mind 200 years. That's why this has taken a few minutes. You compress your love and light downward. Okay, now see the edges getting brighter and thicker as we transmute all forms of negative emotion. they're there on the surface mostly, but also stored deep within Gaia. The way your body stores toxins in fat cells, right? It's the kind of thing we're dealing with here, to use that good analogy. And now, again, I would advise a dark indigo or dark violet quarantine sphere to better differentiate with a contrasting white light. And now see intense, incredibly intense, transmutational masses of white light through you, through your consciousness, ultimately from your I am and the HOD, and move and just keep on compressing as you see the center of Gaia getting lighter and lighter in terms of its grayness, from dark grey to lighter and lighter grey, and the outer edges now begin to push through the surface. All right, the outer edges that are really bright now of this sphere, white sphere now, pretty much. Compressing through the surface, cleansing, mostly the continents and all the emotional bodies as well. The hue of humanity on the continents, on land, compressing, moving inward. And just keep on, because there's a ton of, let's just call them oil reserves of toxic emotions, also in the form of frequency, because magic-like pre-ancient technologies hold them as frequency as well, that are held within technology. Move that white light in, transmuting, removing that as well through the surface. Now, through the surface, intense bright white surface area of this outer areas of this sphere. And now moving in through the surface into those vast underground oil reserves, to use that analogy, transmuting. And this is really going to affect the quantum field, among other fields. Morphogenetic field, electromagnetic field, subspace field, you name it, is going to get affected by us. You and I and your beloved 144K comrades. And now feel it moving inward, and visually see the grayness. Again, it's like, because it's spherical, it'll always appear more whiter towards the edges, because of the nature of looking at a sphere. Move it inwards, and see that the center of the sphere, visually speaking, getting lighter and lighter. And it goes white now, not necessarily bright. And now it goes bright as this inward moving sphere of light, transmutational sphere of light, just moves all the way to Gaia's core. And now zoom out, and within a quarantine sphere, See Gaia? White, bright, and now it begins to shine as all negative emotions within the collective, buried in realms that our physical eyes can't see, turning white. And now bright, almost like a star, the whole planet. All those negative emotions, those vast oceans, think of them as underground oceans and oil reserves of toxic, heavy, god awful negative emotions in various forms, from liquid to frequency. Bright, gone, transmuted to love. And now see that beautiful magenta color of Gaia. And you can see, you still see some shiny white rays around the surface, in the atmosphere and her aura. You can see that. Maintain that vision if you want on the edges. What would look like her atmosphere. And now see, pick your continent. Actually, we should focus on the same continent at the same time because I think that'll be more effective, right? Makes sense. See North America, because of course America is the center of the world. And see the grids, all these lines, crisscrossing lines and converging lines all across America. Don't worry, your conscious mind doesn't have to know where they are because your subconscious mind or high mind does. So see it quickly in a slightly darker magenta background. You can choose indigo background if you want, but it's up to your soul and its purpose. See these intensely bright, white, high frequency, crisscrossing lines, grids. A lot like well, it includes the ley lines, but it's much more than that. There's all sorts of grids and structures out there. Like Monument Valley, for you Americans that know Monument Valley in northeast Arizona. Well, that's quite a whole big grid area in and of itself. So it's more than just the ley lines. Anyway, I digress. Light it up. Especially if you're in a particular part of Colorado that starts with an L. L for love. Light it up. While you're with the teams from Omnipresence, it's highly advisable. Zoom in, zoom out, play around, enjoy the show, light it up, really raising the frequency, ultimately, of the planet to ascend. And now move down into Mexico. light it up, and move down to Central America, where it almost goes, by the time you reach Panama, it's almost gone, goes horizontal, parallel with the equator, which is still well below Panama, before it joins Colombia, which then joins to Ecuador, and Ecuador, just south of Colombia, is where the equator is, obviously. All right. And this is the last thing that we'll be doing, by the way. And then we're done. And move on to South America, down to Brazil, Argentina. And now let's light up Africa. And of course, Europe, light it up. You can be done quickly now because we've cleared so much, so we can be done quickly. Isn't that nice? And look up at your I am. Look up at the HOD, your guides. And ask them from omnipresence. Clear and light up the grids. Increase their frequencies. Be the witness. Yeah, they got busy. Enjoy the show. Again, many of you are concerned about the Middle East. I'm not, because I know it's highly controlled, but I'm a lot more, but I am concerned about the emotional state of surface humanity, which ladens things way more. Move over to the Middle East, the Arabian, past the Horn of Africa, the Red Sea, Israel, the whole Levant, Turkey area, Turkey, Ukraine, light it up, light it up. Some of you may see, little thin, narrow, perpendicular vortexes that might look like columns of light, but really they're vortexes. Light it up. We've only got 5 minutes left because we're done. Pretty much. Move over to Iran, across the Gulf and the Arabian Peninsula, which is right next door to Iran. Light it up, light it up. All these glistening diamond, rainbow coloured, but predominantly bright white, crisscrossing lines. And see it sweep through to India, Burma, and Kazakhstan, where Borat lives. The Himalayas, of course, light up the Himalayas. Where they had the Wisak gathering, the Wisak people. Yeah, you got to watch out for them Wisak people. All right, move over to China. Indochina, the Malaysian and Thai peninsula into Borneo, and then in Indonesia, up into the Korean peninsula, Manchuria, Japan, Siberia, light it up and light that baby up. And look at Gaia. Zoom out. Ask your soul and oversoul and I am to add your unique finishing touch. As you observe the splendor, this diamond Christmas tree kind of lighting up of everything, of all of Gaia. Really fill it with love. Feel all those lines and perpendicular columns, vortexes. Fill it with your love. Unconditional love. Fill it right up. All the way down to the core of Gaia. Now look up, way up above, and see the softness of this magenta vortex as you look at source. Let's just call it a coalesced form of source up above. And repeat after me. Come back. Please come back. And feel all of the void, of the spaces in between spaces, of the ocean of subspace. Of the so-called empty space, of the subquantum level of all planes and densities. Down to and through this physical surface plane. Come back and feel your love and self with this. As we have opened the gates for your return. and see what you see, beloved one. I'm not going to filter your mind or put words in your mouth in the metaphorical visual sense. See what you see. And thank the teams over on thank everyone, your guides, your higher aspects, as we are done. Happy solstice. We did our part. Return fully back into the room that you're in. Wiggle your toes, wiggle your fingers, fully present. As I move white light through Gaia's aura and field, removing your energetic traces as well as mine. Although you can do it as well. Although pretty soon we won't need to do this at all. And well done. Really well done. Okay. 11:44. And 2 hours. I didn't quite keep it under 2 hours, but I know I'll succeed next time because, again, this 5-day period is just insane of how important it is. Yeah, 2 hours and 20 minutes. So apologies for that. But again, squeezing 100 mass meditations, the equivalent of 100 mass meditations into one at such critical moments. Because that shockwave front thing that Cobra's reporting on that's going to happen on the 26th of June on the new moon. We've really optimized the timeline and possibility of that being almost like a compression breakthrough in and of itself. Because of what we've done in the past 2 hours, because of what we did in the past 2 hours. That's really opened things up for a mini compression breakthrough on the surface, which is nuts. Let alone radically speed up the clearing of the surface of dark energy, subquantum anomaly, etc. Dark matter. Whatever's left of the dark AI. Radical acceleration of the clearing of that at a minimum. But a much smoother, softer one as well. Because otherwise it would be a lot like, the way it's been. March, April, and May. In particular. Well, much of June for most people as well. And that's what we don't want. when that radical acceleration of clearing of remaining dark energy and subquantum anomaly occurs or ramps up as of the 26th of June on the new moon. We don't want to get bitten anymore. So that's really going to do so much to transform the very brutal nature of rapid ascension. There you go. So well done. Leave your experience, I guess, anything worth mentioning. Do leave it in the Telegram chat. Keep it succinct, short, and as relevant as possible. Don't talk about the past. Because that usually goes on for quite a while. And yeah, can't wait to hear from you. And a huge salute from all that is. That's a safe bet. As we are quite literally the greatest show throughout all that is, never mind the multiverses. So well done. Big hugs. And do feel the love from from everything and anyone outside the whole planet throughout all that is. Bye-bye.